If you would have told me 7 years ago that sitting still for 20 minutes a day would end up changing the entire direction of my life, I probably would have laughed. Back then, I was a mechanical engineering grad, constantly thinking, problem solving, and honestly, overthinking. My mind was always on from the moment I woke up till the second my head hit the pillow. I didn't know what slowing down actually felt like. But then I started meditating, and that decision quietly rewired everything about how I operate. The thing that first got me curious about meditation wasn't some spiritual awakening, it was Tim Ferriss's podcast. I kept noticing that no matter who he interviewed, world class athletes, business icons, creatives, meditation just kept showing up as a shared habit. It wasn't framed as something mystical, it was more like a mental performance tool. That caught my attention. So I downloaded the Headspace app, started with the 10-minute mindfulness sessions, and wow, it was certainly harder than I expected. Sitting still and watching my mind, I felt like trying to hold down a swarm of bees. I was so used to constant stimulation, checking, scrolling, doing. My brain didn't know how to just do nothing. But every once in a while, there'd be a moment of quiet, the sense of space. And I realized I hadn't felt that kind of calm in years. It was rare, and I wanted more of it. At first, meditation was just about getting to a calm place. But around that same time, I started reading more about how high performers used it, even athletes. I remembered hearing about how Kobe Bryant would visualize every shot before he took it, and something clicked in my mind. So before my senior year of lacrosse, I started combining that with meditation, visualizing what success looked like, how I wanted to show up on the field. And that year ended up being the best year for me by far. I scored more, I felt sharper, and I played in this flow state I never really accessed before. Now, looking back, I don't think it was random. Meditation trains presence. And when you're fully present, there's less fear, less worry about missing the shot or repeating a past mistake. You're just there. That's when performance happens naturally. As I kept practicing, I started noticing changes outside of sports too. I wasn't reacting as much. Situations that used to throw me off didn't. I could pause before responding. I had more control. Not control over life itself, but over my response to it. And that alone started changing my results in relationships, in work, in everything really. Now, Tim Ferriss describes meditation as taking your mind from 200 RPMs down to 150. That really landed for me. When you slow things down internally, your decisions get cleaner, your thinking gets deeper, and the quality of what you create improves. A few years later, I discovered Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. Now, he might be polarizing for some people, but I found his ideas and books surprisingly practical. His whole thing is that we're often living the same day over and over again, running on subconscious programs from the past. You wake up, repeat the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, and reinforce the same identity. And then we wonder why it's hard to change. What Dispenza teaches is that meditation is one of the few things to break that loop, to interrupt the programming and step into something new. He says that when we get truly present, we're no longer defined by the past. And that's when real change becomes possible. The image that always stuck with me, and this is how I see it, is like chess. Most of us live like pawns, one step at a time, in a direction limited by what we've always done. but meditation lets you become the queen on the board. Suddenly, you can move anywhere. You're not boxed in by the old patterns. You can now pivot. And that's actually what happened in my life. Meditation gave me the awareness and honestly, the courage to pivot when things didn't feel aligned. I went from mechanical engineer to sales and marketing because I really wanted to understand how businesses actually grow. Then from that into the health and wellness space because that's what I care most about. Along the way, I built a life that allowed for me to work from anywhere, traveling to 20 plus countries and eventually building my own business around health, wellness, and overall performance in life. When I trace it all back, the common thread throughout it all was meditation. It helped me hear the quiet signal underneath all the noise, that voice that says, hey, there's another way. Without that stillness, I don't think I'd have the clarity or nerve to change direction so many times. The longer I practiced, the more I realized meditation isn't about escaping the world. It's about training yourself to face it better. It's kind of like mental weightlifting. You learn to watch your thoughts instead of being run by them. And the more you do that, the less power fear and old stories have over you. If I could summarize the benefit simply, meditation helps you quiet the noise long enough to remember who you actually are and to choose who you want to become going forward. After 7 years of daily practice, at least 20 minutes every morning, I can say it's still one of the highest ROI things that I do. It's what keeps me grounded when life's chaotic, creative when I'm stuck, and calm when everything feels uncertain. So if you've ever thought meditation isn't for you because your mind's too busy, that's exactly why it is for you. It's not about perfection, it's about awareness. Because once you can see that pattern, you can change it. And that's when life starts to get really interesting.